What you witnessed there was the demolition of the 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗍𝗂 building. Now, I remember that day very well because it was a Sunday, 17th of February 2019. And currently I'm walking down Manchester Road in Bradford, and this is where I actually stood with a bunch of photographers and reporters and took the footage. But later on I'm going to meet Mark, who's going to talk about Tyrrel Street and talk about a demolition of another building, and he's going to present some footage to you that's never been shown before. So thanks for watching.
Today we're in the centre of Bradford again, and in this video I'd like to discuss what I occasionally refer to as the tragedy of Tyrrel Street. Now, Tyrrel Street is behind me and it goes all the way down towards the Waterstones bookshop and the Old Wool Exchange. But Tyrrel Street also used to be at this side of Sunbridge Road, Bridge Street, and it basically went along in this direction where it met Thornton Road. And if you were stood in this vicinity about 100 years ago, you would have been in a completely different streetscape where the architecture was wonderful, and I'd say it rivaled the very best of the architecture that you'd find in Leeds on Briggate, for example. There was fantastic buildings, there was coffee shops, there was the Empress pub, there was the Gaiety ballroom. And in the late 1960s, as we all now sadly know, Bradford was in the grip of a regeneration renaissance, which it only took about 20 years for us to realise that it was actually quite a mistake. We lost a lot of buildings and we lost a lot of fantastic streets, this section of Tyrrel Street being one of them. A huge tower block was erected for the Provincial Building Society, and that edifice was called Provincial House. Now, the initial structure of Provincial House actually spared the better buildings of Tyrrel Street, but as the early 70s wore on, it was decided that Provincial House needed to be extended more in this direction, and as a result we lost the fantastic buildings that I spoke about a few minutes ago. So when you think about it, the splendour of Tyrrel Street lasted for most of the 20th century, the early part, and then in the early 1970s it was all swept away for a building which lacked any architectural merit. By the year 2000, Provincial House was empty, and in the pages of the Telegraph and Argus there was speculation about what its future might be, but with headlines and descriptions such as the Tower of Despair. And I knew somebody that had worked in Provincial House right up until the late 1990s, when it was the Abbey National at that time, and she told me that the building had a few structural issues, and that was why all of the Abbey National staff were relocated to new offices at the side of the interchange. So it was decided that Provincial House had to come down after standing in this vicinity for only 30 years. So the tragedy of Tyrrel Street, when you think about it, is this. We had this fantastic, almost cosmopolitan looking street that had stood for the better part of the 20th century. It was cleared away and replaced by an unremarkable, unspectacular looking tower block which had at best a 30-year lifespan. So in 2002, in September, the building was demolished. And I actually came down to Bradford on that Sunday morning to video it. And this film has never been shown before, it's never been seen anywhere else, and it's exclusive to Bradford through the lens. So here it is.
It's coming this way from the sea. Don't panic.
Is that part of it there? Would they have expected that to go?
Did you see it up that
Because he said the bloke was doing it. He said he'd be on his way to do another one this afternoon.
So will they put another one on?
No.
Well, how will we get that down?
Bulldozers and stuff.
Oh, look at it! Oh my God! Mum, outdoors so I can pick the brand new up.
No, he was supposed to just go up in.
Over there.
So, as you've just seen, the demolition more or less went to plan. There was one little hairy moment where a piece of Provincial House had actually fallen against the new structure that is now the Anchor premises on the corner of Aldermanbury. But anyway, the site was a pile of rubble and debris, and what they did is they took all the huge sections away, had them crushed down into smaller pieces, and then they were returned here to form the foundations of a new structure. But not all of that debris actually went into the foundations of what was later referred to as the Banana Building, because on that Sunday afternoon I came down to Bradford and I retrieved a piece of Provincial House. And I'll always remember that the outer layer was this formation of small squares. So quite a historic little memento there of modernist 1969 Bradford.